Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. Today we are continuing the story, what if Naruto survived the deadly battles and built a powerful harem with Hinata, Sakura, Ino, Kurenai, Tenten, Anko, Hanabi, Isaribi, Yakumo and Shizuka. This is part 4. If you're enjoying this fanfiction, make sure to smash the like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe with the bell icon so you never miss the next part. Alright, let's begin part 4. Kurenai. Years of training as a shinobi disciplines the body into an effective, efficient and powerful weapon, so like many shinobi in the Hidden Leaf, Kurenai's body has developed a natural internal alarm clock, always armed to wake her well before dawn. With busy days fulfilling the many duties requested of a shinobi, early morning or late in the evening are a shinobi's best times for personal training, and her steadfast alarm is no different this morning. However, Kurenai is slow to learn exactly how far a cry from normal the present actually is. Kurenai awoke with a splitting headache. Her head throbbed so bad, her vision blurs slightly with every painful beat. The gorgeous Kunoichi groans miserably, bringing a shaky hand to her sweaty, throbbing temple. Her mind slowly begins interpreting feelings and sensations she absorbs from her senses. She was on her side, her mop head of hair resting on a pillow, and she was closely hugging what feels like the best body pillow in the world, or a radiating sack of comforting warmth. The warmth paired well with the delectable aches, circulating randomly throughout her hips and lower spine. The warmth between her legs held the most tremors, making her mind focus on the pleasure of her nether region rather than the dry pain of her throbbing head. It was not difficult to focus on the hard-fought sated piece warming her from core to spine, the type of warm after aches one can only experience after a night of numerous orgasms. Squeezing and stretching against her body pillow surprisingly encourages the warm pillow to hug and squeeze her back, fearfully hastening her rational faculties and memories. As the memories of the previous night's depravity floods her mind, she feels ticklish breathing and wet lips on her chest. Further confirmation of the ravages of last night was not needed, yet even still, looking down is the most shameful proof of her moral descent. She is completely entwined with the young blonde genin. Uzumaki has his strong arms wrapped around her, under her own arms, with her traitorous legs wrapped over his waist, locking his thinner pelvis perfectly together with her own. An errant thought of how well the blonde fits against her is quickly throttled and dumped to the side as tears well to her eyelids before they overflow and roll down the sides of her head. "I'm never drinking again," she mentally asserts, wondering how her tribulations can be so suffocating that she'd be desperate for anything, be it alcohol or pleasure, to overwhelm her sorrows. As if nothing more could be as humiliating, his hip jerks as he sleeps, making her clench, informing her in the most embarrassing way that his flaccid is still inside of her. As if thinking about the soft head just past her entrance, she grips at his appendage, unnecessarily confirming what she can already feel. His hips jerk again, though this time, she can feel him growing steadily bigger. Trying to move the blonde away by his shoulders, he instinctively grips at her body tighter as he quickly grows much larger. Without her consent, her body grows warmer than it should, intimately so, as if her body didn't understand immoral pleasure isn't supposed to make her feel good. Instead, she frantically grips the sides of his head and pulls him to face her stern red irises, calling, "Uzumaki-kun. Wake up MNN." An unauthorized moan interrupted her call to the slumbering boy, lightly jerking between her legs, massaging her insides. He thrusts his semi-erect further into her moistening love tunnel, and her body overlays the present pleasant sensations with the blissful aches of last night. The rush wakes him, groggy though he looks, and his next thrust is more confident, burrowing himself halfway into her semen-lubricated, tight, meek tunnel. "You Uzumaki," she calls, repressing the tandem combination of last night's pleasures and the current dopey tramping. "Stop, this instant. MNN, he mumbles questionably, before becoming more aware. "Yes, again," he calls as he moves away from her. "No," she starts, but then he lifts her resistant leg to get out. She almost felt embarrassed by her body's desire to keep him there until he lifted her leg higher, so the inside of her thigh was resting flush against his chest. One leg pointed to the ceiling, the other between his, he's lined perfectly with her still on her side. Wait, Uzumaki-kun, stop, she calls as she fights her unbelievably palpable urge to continue. It's as confusing as this entire situation. When he returns, why? You said this one, he thrusts his hips forward, reaching the kiss of her womb to her great delight. He pulls out. 1, thrust forward again. Pulls out and thrusts back in. Your favorite positions, he finishes, punctuating each word with a pull out and push in for deep penetration. When I say de, her creaming mind wonders as she tries to hold down her pleasure-filled moans. The position always brushed her G-spot in the most delicious way, and no longer than a few minutes of energetic pounding and she was already moaning with every impact against her spine-arching weak spot. Her legs weakened considerably, which is a part of the reason she enjoys the one leg against his chest. He can wrap his arms around the boneless limb and keep pounding away. MMN. No AAHN. You ha ha MMN, ah. Have to stop, she weakly expresses between moans barely above a whisper, repeating as best she can. For whose benefit, she couldn't say. She couldn't understand why he felt so good, and soon she couldn't care. She was debased and moaning for more. MMNN, on, ah, yes. Yees. Hearing the wet schlurp, with his every plunge, smack. And knowing it was the mixture of his underage in her dripping, excited and immoral pleasure she didn't know she possessed. Close to release, she sped her finger play against her swollen, expanding and unbearably tight coil set to be the death of her when detonated. Naruto could feel the way her ribbed walls wore him in with his every motion to pull out. The moist heat was the most wonderful feeling he could think of, but the way he felt when her body wanted him was the most erotic thing ever. Stop, 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 she kept repeating despite her hands working her hard nipples, and being sensitive. Naruto would have been confused by her words if her actions weren't saying something else, but he couldn't stop his hips even if he tried. Holding her in this position as he pounds her slick walls flushed, he's mesmerized, unable to do anything more but relish in his rising bliss. I'm coming, I'm CUMMMMM. Kurenai screams as the great coil of bliss erupted and her vision blurs to a mesh to a surreal mess of colors and light. Her entire body flooded with spasms of electric ecstasy, curling her toes, gyrating her taut hips and tight butt, sending rivulets of unceasing pleasure up her spine and into her cranium. For many moments, Kurenai was nothing if not the rolling waves of buzzing euphoria. Her jaw slacks and her red oval lips trumpet her heavy breathy moans until she felt her entire pelvis lift off the soaked sheets, confusing her. Naruto lifts her by the sweaty, muscular thigh still wrapped in his arms and buries himself as deep as he can go. Kurenai has enough mind to wonder why the boy's phallus expands until she feels molten man juice shoot load after load deep into her fertile womb. She saw white at the feel of such a massive ejaculation of hot thick semen pressing into the quaking rupture of her accepting tunnel. She regains awareness moments later, and thankfully a sweaty Uzumaki-kun is resting face down next to her, breathing heavily through his huge grin, very nearly making her smile by how elated he looks, but not near enough. She takes the opportunity to move off the bed and away from him. He's not a threat by any stretch of the imagination, but Kurenai is not feeling like herself and her body is more sensitive than she ever remembers feeling before. Her usually strong legs, weak from the long night of pleasurable exertion, tremble to hold her weight. Taking a step away from the bed, a large, much too large, amount of thick semen oozes down her legs. I need to shower, she groans with embarrassment as she rushes to the bathroom. Twisting the nozzle for heated water, she vaguely notes the pearl-white glutinous ejaculate is flowing past her knees. Impatient for a hot shower, she touches the water to learn it's still freezing cold. Confused, she tries the cold nozzle, but it changes nothing. Assuming he has no hot water, Kurenai simply jumps in, violently snuffing out all the warmth, lust, and throbbing from her sensitive body. It was the shock that she needed as she felt more semen stream down her shapely legs. Kurenai unintentionally analyzes the sheer amount and concludes the blonde must have climaxed several times inside her. Aware that most grown men ejaculate at most 4 to 5 times in a day, she can only assume teenagers are much more zealous, restoring their vigor faster than normal. Or it's possible Uzumaki is unique, she considers as she recalls the plugging feeling. Anko has mentioned running across truly unique partners either on vacation or missions. Kurenai has heard of all sorts of abnormalities from Anko: odd bumps, subdermal implants, 3 testicles, and a really odd one who urinated his ejaculate. Kurenai recalls the busty kunoichi's tale of discovering a chubby civilian, not the seductress's usual target, with a birth defect of 2s. In her sheer excitement, Anko actually kidnapped him for the longest weekend of double-stuffed debauchery that ranks in her top 5. Anko was saddened when she learned his experience with her resulted in a phobia of women, ruining his ability to get aroused by women. As for Uzumaki, he seems to be able to swell at the base of his when he ejaculates, but Kurenai is sure that it doesn't happen every time. The raven-haired beauty has also heard Uzumaki has very high stamina levels. Flashes of intense memories that prove the statement true makes her blush, despite the ice raining down her humming body. As she washes her dark locks, she shakes her head of vulgar thoughts. None of what happened last night should have happened, but now that it did, Kurenai considers this new predicament. Though parts of her just want to wallow in sorrow, she compartmentalizes her emotions as any well-trained shinobi can, and considers her options as rationally as possible. Kurenai can't kill him. If he wasn't so important to the village, she would consider it, but as a Jinchuriki, he sadly must remain alive, which means the arrogant blonde can talk. He can tell anybody he wants that he lost his virginity to one of the more popular kunoichi in all of Hidden Leaf. While her reputation to her peers and the civilians of her village is very important to her, Hinata-chan's opinion is far more important. If Hinata-chan ever found out her sensei, the person she's supposed to trust her future to, had with the love of her young life, it would crush her to nothing. Kurenai can't even picture the indigo-haired Hyuga ever recovering. Kurenai needs to make sure Uzumaki stays quiet. More importantly, Uzumaki-kun is vital to her plans to encourage and empower Hinata-chan. How the hell did this boy become such an important piece in my plans? She mentally bemoans. As much as she's dreading it, it's more than likely, especially after what they did last night, that the price for his help will go up. She hates the rational threat assessment, but he's a hormonal boy, after all. She's not expecting an abundance of self-control. He'll want more, but will I pay for it? Stepping out of the shower, she notices her clothes horribly folded on the bathroom counter. Despite the cold, she feels mildly better as she changes. Stepping out of the bathroom, she finds Uzumaki-kun in his boxers waiting for her with a broad smile. Though fully clothed, she feels completely under his intense gaze. "Nay, Nai-chan," Naruto happily calls, attempting to take her hand. "Do not call me Nai-chan," she yells at him, hopping back a step. He tenses in surprise by her outburst. Without preamble, she points to the shower, and he cautiously enters for a shower of his own. When Naruto exits the bathroom, he finds her behind the dining table. She points to the only dining chair he owns, commanding him to have a seat. "Are you okay?" he tentatively asks, doing as she asks as his deep blue eyes stare straight into her large red ones. "What's the matter? Did I do it wrong?" Uzumaki. Kurenai couldn't even properly express her chaotic thoughts. So much about this was wrong, not least of which was how vigorous she'd participated in their coupling. She would be furious with him if not for her own part in allowing it to happen in the first place. I can do better," Naruto tries to cut her off. "I promise, I'll do better next time. Just give me one more chance." With a long exhale, she continues, "Last night shouldn't have happened, nor will there be any more nights like it again. Not only am I an adult 8 years your senior, but I outrank you. And while I can't entirely lay the blame on you, it'll be a mutual mistake that will never happen again." But it wasn't a mistake. Naruto argues, getting to his feet. "It was great. The best. There's nothing wrong with that." "Of course there is." Kurenai can't help but snap back. Obviously, there's little chance a young boy going through puberty is going to turn down the opportunity to lose his virginity, especially to a woman who is as well received as Kurenai is, but it didn't mean that he couldn't have stopped it. If he wasn't so insistent, if she wasn't so woefully dejected, suffering the deep sting of rejection from the only man she truly loves, if she wasn't drunk, if her world hadn't tilted last night, then everything would have remained as it was. You don't realize how wrong it is because you're a child who doesn't know any better, Kurenai asserts. Well, if you're such an adult, then why was it okay last night, Naruto returns. You liked it then, right? You came just like you said girls do. That means you liked it. And I may be young but I'm a ninja first. She lets out another long sigh, then warily says, Uzumaki-kun, ramen is your favorite food, right? She asks, trying a different tactic as he nods vehemently. If I purchased an extra large bowl exactly how you like it, and threw it on the ground, how would you feel? You can't. That's so wrong, it'd break my heart. I'd probably fight you, or just get really mad, he easily answers, letting the mental picture spur his ardent words. What if it made me feel really good to do that? I'd buy several bowls exactly how you like it just to throw it all in the dirt, she continues to ask. Eyes wide with fear, he easily asserts, then I'd definitely kick your. You can't do that. If you're not going to eat it, don't buy it. There are no rules saying I can't do whatever makes me feel good after I've purchased the ramen with my money, Kurenai argues. Seeing his growing confusion, she clarifies. What I'm trying to say is, just because something feels good doesn't mean you have the freedom to do it. Even though there isn't a rule against it, everyone agrees buying food only to throw it away is wasteful and wrong. There are certain expectations in a civilized village that everyone should follow. For example, don't waste, eat what you buy. Don't murder, don't rape, don't vandalize, are more examples even though there are rules about those. In this case, you don't sleep with a person 8 years younger than you. If you weren't a genin, this would have been illegal and I would have gone to prison. What? Naruto blurts out. But this isn't murder or any of that bad stuff. What I'm trying to convey is, simply because something feels good for you, doesn't make it right to society. We should not have done what we did. She can easily see the wheels of his mind spinning before he asks, but, I'm a genin, right? So, that means it's okay, then, Naruto reasons. It's still not okay. Kurenai maintains. You're not supposed to do that with an adult. I don't care about what I'm supposed to do, Naruto yells back. If all I ever did was what I'm supposed to do, then I wouldn't even be a ninja. I wouldn't have pushed Ji-chan to a Mankaman teapot, to make me an adult so I can live on my own. I'd probably still be in the orphanage, getting hurt, and I wouldn't even think about being the absolute best Hokage ever. I don't let people I don't know, who don't even care about me, tell me what I can and can't do. Kurenai couldn't help pick up on a few key phrases in his emotional retort. An emancipated adult, being hurt while living in the orphanage, and a small question of who this Ji-chan that helped him become emancipated sparked her curiosity. It was a very revealing speech, and it certainly gave Kurenai's analytical mind more insight as to why the loud obnoxious blonde was the way he was. It would almost be admirable if he had any skill or ability to show for it. It also led her to ponder his view on what they had done. This is just training for him. At the most, training with a partner, she mentally hypothesizes. Willing to test her theory, she asks, Uzumaki-kun, do you love me? Taken aback by the question, he comically ponders the question a moment, his cheeks stained red before he answers with a question of his own, is that like a precious person? Like Ji-chan, Tuki Jiji, Iyame-ne, or Iruka-sensei? He doesn't completely grasp love, it appears. Kurenai reasons before responding, no, I mean like a romantic love, a girl for instance. I don't know. I mean, I'm super psyched you're helping me, and you feel really good. Kurenai can't help but blush at the quick flashes of physical and mental memories the boy invokes. Judging by his reddening cheeks and the shifting from side to side, it's easy to interpret what he's recalling last night as well. I would definitely protect you, No question, but I still think about Sakura-chan, a lot, even though I know I can't ever be with her, he says despondently. Oddly enough, Kurenai understands that completely. But I think, as long as she's happy and strong, I'll be okay. Plus, I can still protect her if she needs it. As a rule for his sessions with Hinata-chan, Uzumaki isn't allowed to speak about other girls, so Kurenai's never heard any of this before. It's slightly surprising to Kurenai that he actually has this side to him, and even though she's fairly certain he sees their coupling as little more than training, she tells him, "Listen, we can't ever do this again. It wouldn't be good if anyone found out. Lots of terrible repercussions can happen to you, to me, to my students if others learn about this, and I don't ever want that to happen." Naruto tilts his head curiously as he asks, "So, you want to keep it a secret?" "Yes," Kurenai asserts. "A very important secret. Absolutely no one must ever find out." "Well, I'm really good at keeping secrets," he tells her with a vibrant grin. "I'm even keeping my training super secret." "Okay, good," Kurenai humors him so long as he understands. "So that means we can keep training as long as no one knows?" he asks. Kurenai can feel the landmines ahead, yet answers, "No. No, we can't. We can't ever do that again. It's not proper for many reasons." "But I learned so much," Naruto proclaims. "How do you expect me to go back to books and pictures after that?" "Uzumaki-kun, I don't think I can keep helping you with what I've been helping you with. I think we should end this here," she softly voices, but to Naruto, it may as well have sounded like a cannon. He's stunned until he hears her moving to leave. Wait, he rushes after her, getting in front. "You promised. You said you'd help." "I can't do that again," Kurenai maintains, walking away. He follows her desperately. But, it was good, right? You liked it, right? Please, I'll do better. You don't have to leave me," he pleads, wrapping his arms around her waist, trying to keep her from leaving, to keep another connection he's made from abandoning him. Rather surprised, yet saddened to see, she weakly protests, "Uzumaki. It's fine if no one knows, right? I won't say anything, so, just stay," he tries with a trembling voice. "Or I'll be a jonin too, if that's what you want. Then it'll be fine since we're the same rank." "That works perfectly, nay. Uzumaki-kun, let me go, please," she somberly asks, and after some hesitation, he slowly lets her go. She walks around him to the door as he continues to plead his case with pitiful claims. "I already know a B rank jutsu and I'm learning an A- rank right now. It won't be long before I make it an S rank jutsu. It won't take long, I promise it won't. Please, Nai-chan." Opening the door, she debates reassuring him, threatening him, explaining why it has nothing to do with rank, clarifying what has to happen and why, but instead she leaves, closing the door on him behind her. Naruto. How can dawn start and end so differently? Naruto sat on the grass Indian position, well away from his teammates, with a leaf in his left palm, and his right hand covering it. The entire time he waited for his Jonin sensei, he pondered about another. The night before had been the most amazing thing he's ever felt, possibly second to his afternoon with Ino-chan. Without allowing himself to recall the events for fear of popping a tent in front of a distant Sakura-chan, he wonders how waking up could be that marvelous, but less than an hour later, he drives another person away. He was starting to wonder if he was cursed somehow. Sakura-chan doesn't want anything to do with him, Ino-chan is just as distant, and now Kurenai-chan literally closed the door in his face. Naruto had never been so quiet around his team, but they don't seem to mind. Though he can't help how miserable he feels, he's happy to see Sakura-chan again, healthy and best of all, standing far away from the temple. Sakura-chan might not want to stand by Naruto, or look at him apparently, but at least she's not by Sasuke-tem. He made sure she knew he was glad she was feeling better, but again, she refused to look at him and only mumbled something he couldn't understand. Like himself, she's also working on her talents. He can tell she's looking over a scroll on Iryo Ninjutsu, but he can't tell what specifically it is. Kakashi-sensei had been really surprised when she asked for more reading material on medical ninjutsu, or as surprised as a man with only one visible facial feature can be. It stung Naruto when she didn't give him the credit for her new direction, but their sensei had been supportive and supplied her with several scrolls for her to go over. Naruto would have surely loved it if she gave him the credit for the idea, but at least she's learning. So, instead of pestering and interrupting her, he tries to enhance his focus on his own training. He's still trying to cut the leaf using his chakra while he has 3 pairs of clones working on the final stage of the Rasengan a decent distance in the forest. This would have been the first morning in a long time he would have preferred to stay home and wallow, but he couldn't last more than 10 minutes before dark thoughts started to materialize in his brain. Like many times before, he told himself everything would be different once he became Hokage, and just like before, he started training. Though his thoughts constantly strayed to Kurenai-chan, he continues to push past the things he couldn't control for a better tomorrow. It's not the only drive sustaining him, but it's the best one he has. When Kakashi-sensei shows up 3.5 hours after the scheduled meeting time, he allows the uncut leaf to fall to the floor and begins dispelling his clones one at a time. Sakura. It's more difficult to look at the blonde idiot than she had anticipated. Part of her wanted nothing more than to beat the boy's teeth into his brain, then rip him off with her bare hand and stuff it in his mouth, but she would hold her at bay. Team 7 was quieter than normal. All throughout team drill training and the 2D ranked missions they had done, there was little more conversation than what was absolutely necessary. It unnerved her already ragged nerves. Sakura was simply too accustomed to hearing him yell, laugh, loudly slurp his disgusting noodles, ask her out on a date, bother Kakashi-sensei about training, challenge Sasuke-kun, or shout about becoming Hokage. It was actually strange to go without hearing the baka say anything. A fearful side of her wondered if he knows, and he's simply being quiet about it. The reckless side of her reasoning wonders if he's just scared that she'll tell someone, so he's staying distant. Maybe both Ino Pig and Naruto Baka were in on it to get between her and Sasuke-kun. Ino Pig would get to be with Sasuke-kun and Sakura would be blackmailed to be with Naruto Baka. It had merit, her mind told her, but it's not like he was avoiding her. Even if she ignored him, he had told her he was glad she was better, and he didn't really seem nervous or scared, just introspective or focused on that stupid leaf, again. The rational side of her mind reasoned that his uncommon behavior had nothing to do with her because it just wasn't in Naruto Baka's nature to avoid things. He's too simple to not talk to her about it. He didn't bring up what they had done, what she was forced to do, because he truly didn't know, and that, at the very least, told her that Ino Pig was telling the truth about him being unaware, which only disgusted her more. Sakura still can't understand how Ino Pig could be so jealous of her that she would go so far as to take that idiot's mouth. It was gag-inducing. Sakura-chan, Kakashi softly calls, interrupting her thoughts. You're looking a little green. Are you sure you're feeling better? She smiles weakly at her sensei's concern. Are you alright, Sakura-chan? Don't push yourself too hard, Naruto quickly adds. She ignores Naruto Baka. Sakura eyes the raven-haired Avenger in hopes of hearing a comment of concern for her health from him, but when none was forthcoming, Sakura reassures her sensei, I'm better. And thank you for checking on me. Nay, Sakura-chan, Naruto nervously starts. I checked on you too. She turned away, and his heart broke as Kakashi called out, alright my cute little genin, you're dismissed. See you all bright and early tomorrow. He disappears and Sasuke-kun promptly turns toward his family's compound. Sakura felt her body's great urge to follow, going so far as to begin moving along with the beautiful boy, as if pulled by some invisible string, eager to ask if she can accompany him, but she doesn't make it more than 2 steps before she remembers the photos, the life-ruining photos in Ino Pig's possession that she won't hesitate to show Sasuke-kun or her parents if she disobeyed. Her head was swimming and her stomach felt like upending its content, which hasn't been much lately. Turning around, she spots Naruto walking away as well. She urges herself forward, to follow the blonde for the sake of her love, but knowing how she now has to spend her time off, and with who, is more than enough incentive to root her to the ground. Sakura can't follow Naruto. Doesn't Ino Pig get that he disgusts me? Her mind yells, further adding, and now that I've done what Ino forced me to do, I'm disgusted with myself as well. Her breathing deepens but she's short of breath. Unable to stand, unable to follow one boy, forced to ignore the other, Sakura simply runs. She runs home to the comfort of her room and the safety of her own bed, to the picture of her love on the bedside table, but as she turns into her street, Sakura runs into a smiling Ino Pig. I knew you'd crack, Ino chuckles. I can't do it. Sakura pleads, the tears already rolling down her cheeks. I feel like I'm going to die. You couldn't possibly be more pathetic than you are right now, Ino says, looking at her with disgust. Lucky for you, I won't let you cry your way out of this one, so, stop being such a dry cooch, because you're making the rest of us real kunoichi look bad. Please, Ino-chan, Ino-sama, she begs, using a more affectionate honorific. Anything but being around him. Ino-chan is fine, and do you think this is some sort of vacation I'm forcing you on? Just a lovely time at the hot springs. Ino asks, looking at the green-eyed girl with disgust. It's not supposed to be easy. Now, since you've disobeyed a directive, I'll have to punish you. No please, don't show him, Sakura begs. I'll do it. Okay. Please, Ino-chan, I'll be around the baka. Just don't show Sasuke-kun. Come on, is all Ino commands as she steps around the pinket. No, Ino-chan please, Sakura pleads. Anywhere but there, she begs with her old friend, rival, and current blackmailer. Ino simply yells behind her, let's go, now. With little option, Sakura reluctantly follows. Though her tears dry during the trek, she only starts feeling a little better when she realizes they're not walking toward the Uchiha district. They travel through some of the less active, much older training grounds, further than she's ever gone. Reaching training ground 28, Ino finally finds their target, oddly enough, sitting on the grass, legs crossed, hands on his knees like the perfect picture of meditation. What they couldn't see were the 5 pairs of clones much deeper in the forest practicing the 3rd stage of the Rasengan on some unfortunate trees. Well, there he is, Ino tells the frightened girl. Go. Now. Resigned to her fate, Sakura drags her feet as Ino continues to say, you train as long as he does, then you go home and work on your Iryo Jutsu or the report that's due in 2 weeks. Will you at least tell me, Sakura gravely asks. If you do ever decide to show that, will you at least warn me? I'll promise you I won't ever show Sasuke-kun or your parents, or anyone, really, unless you give me a reason to. What happens is up to you, forehead. As punishment for today's infraction, you get a final warning and a picture. Ino takes one of the Polaroids out and hands it to Sakura, who quickly takes and hides it. Don't throw it away, Ino instructs. It's to remind you when you need it, so always keep it on you. I might randomly ask to see it one day and I'm sure you can guess what'll happen if you don't have it. Naruto. Kurenai-sensei. The voice gasps with airy disbelief. Yeah, Naruto says with a mixture of giddiness and sadness. Long black hair, kinda shaggy, red eyes, pretty, very, Naru-ni, lists off, still heavily skeptical. Yeah, Naruto answers easily. You're shitting me, Naru-ni continues to gasp. Even I wonder sometimes, but it's true, Naruto states, taking a step back from the hurt of the door she closed on his face to realize that he was with an absolute stunner of a woman. I never thought she would help like that, Naru-ni gasps. I mean, I've heard about infiltration specialists learning a ton about and using it for missions, but, Kurenai-sensei. She actually went that far. Are you sure you're my younger self? You look like me, right? Blonde spiky hair, blue eyes, whiskers on your cheeks. Yup. Naruto returns, smiling broadly. That's insane, Naru-ni huffs. I didn't think it could get any more insane than Ino-chan. So that never happened to you either, then? Naruto asks. I already said I hadn't slept with anyone, Naru-ni answers, still in awe. I didn't know if anyone liked me like that, you know. That's the thing, Naruto ponderously comments. I thought they liked me, but then they left afterward totally pissed. Ino-chan threatened me if I didn't stay away, and Kurenai-chan even said what we did was a mistake. Naruto can hear the curiosity in his future self's voice as he asks, then why would she have you with you if it was a mistake? I don't know. Naruto calls back. Women are so confusing. Naruni then asks, you think you might be able to find out? Maybe, Naruto wonders aloud. Unlike Ino-chan, Kurenai-chan didn't specifically say she'd kill me if I didn't stay away. Alright, Naruni states. Let's save that for later. We should get back to training. I don't think I can, Naruto weakly admits. I want to train, really, I do, but I can't stop thinking about last night. Well, I can see that even if I don't get it, Naruni sympathizes. Don't worry though. We can always go over some more plans, he suggests. What kind of plans? Well, I'd love it if we could do summons, but that can't happen until you meet your godfather, Naruni thinks aloud. Annoyed by the information Naruni withholds, Naruto asks, yet again, why can't you just tell me who he is? He'll be in Konoha soon, don't worry, Naruni reassures him. I've already told you he's really strong, and a pervert, but I'll make sure you know more before he gets there. Anyway, he's the one who teaches you to summon. Fine, Naruto lets it go for the umpteenth time. What other plans do you have? A bunch of stuff really, Naruni states generally. Sage arts, fuinjutsu, futon ninjutsu, but those won't be for a while, Naruni voices. Right now though there's one thing you can do that'll help you out a ton. Really? Really? What? What is it? Naruto rushes excitedly to focus on something that wasn't about last night. I want you to start talking to Kurama, Naruni answers. Kurama. Naruto quizzically repeats. Didn't you mention him before? You said he's a friend. Yup, and he's your friend too, Naruni asserts. Really? It'll take some work, well a lot of work, but yeah. No problem. Naruto calls, easily accepting the hard work of it. If you say he's a good friend and help me get stronger, I'm in. Where is he? Where can I find him? He's in your stomach, Naruni reveals, to Naruto's, huh? Naruni continues, he's the 9 tails in your seal. You want me to be friends with the Kyuubi? Yup. Now, I know what you're thinking, Naruni starts with a serious voice, prompting Naruto to listen carefully. But it's not like how the others say it is. All that nonsense about him being the epitome of evil and nothing but pure hatred is wrong. I'm going to tell you another secret, so keep it to yourself or Ji-chan will be forced to detain you until you explain how you know things you shouldn't. Narini explains Kurama's background, specifically how he was used as a tool by a bad guy as well as the amount of hate he has for everyone who simply treated him like a monster. Throughout the explanation, Naruto understood all too well how it feels to be treated like a vile pest and followed Naruni's instructions on how to reach him. You don't need to try hard, just concentrate on a cold, scary feeling, and follow it. It'll be unsettling at first, but you'll get used to it the more times you visit the seal. I gotta go now, but remember, this is just a meet and greet. Unless they absolutely have to, friends don't keep secrets from each other, so if you want to tell Kurama about me, go ahead, or if you just want to curse him out, I get that too, but if you try understanding him I think it'll go better. It took me a while to truly understand his pain, so don't worry if you guys aren't friends right away. Got it. If you say he's your friend then I feel like he can be my friend too. See ya, Naruni, Naruto thinks as he focuses on making his way to the seal. He can't tell if he's doing a good job until he feels that cold despair Naruni had mentioned. He had no idea how long he followed that feeling, even less when the pitch black of his focus faded into a low-light dank sewer. Despite the creepy unease, Naruto continues until he enters a huge cavern with just as large dull golden gates on the other end of the grand expanse. Fat water droplets dripping in shallow waters is the only sound in the room, and for some reason it carries, adding to the gloom of the devouring feeling creeping up his spine. Far too uncomfortable, Naruto can't help but call out, "Hello!" as loud as he can. Any demons home? He adds, walking further into the room. Two large eyes slowly open, displaying large feral red irises with the vertical pupils of a predator. You will regret coming here, boy. Huge. Naruto can't help but look at the giant beast behind the gold bars. Bearing white teeth larger than Naruto himself, a low growl slowly reverberates throughout the chamber. Its sinister red eyes glare down at Naruto, who had forgotten to expect it and is wondering why he's even there. Despite the strong creepy killer intent, he held just firm enough not to back away. After several moments, the Nine-Tails growls words. Come closer, boy. Slowly, Naruto moves toward the large gates with the seal in the middle, calling out with a shaky voice, hey. You don't scare me. I know all about you. You know nothing, brat. The large feral monster bellows so loud it shakes the room and rattles Naruto's teeth. But Naruto doesn't relent, shouting back against the enormous monster ahead as well as the creeping fear within. I know your name. Not the Kyuubi but your real name. I know you were forced to attack the village. And I know you miss your father. The room settles enough where Naruto feels like he can breathe again as the large beast pauses. Before asking in a single long drawn-out word, how? I was told, Naruto answers honestly, staring unflinchingly into large red eyes. Listen up, you dumb fox. I want to be your friend, so, my name is Uzumaki Naruto. Greatest Hokage there'll ever be. Friend. Kyuubi laughs. A detestable human will never be friends with the strongest of the tailed beasts. You will tell me who told you. Naruto smiles, confidently, throwing off the fierce intimidation of the demon fox. I'll tell you, as long as we come to an understanding. Kyuubi grumbles for a stretch before finally saying, speak. You let me use as much of your chakra as I want, whenever I want, and I'll tell you. A deal with a demon, you have the guts of a doomed fool, the nine-tailed beast declares. While my teeth may long to make a bloody mess of you, I accept. Feeling more courageous, Naruto asks, Nay, can you tell me your name? Are you so foolish you would lie to me? The Nine-Tails challenges. You claim to already know it. No, I do. I know it, Naruto reassures the Grand Chakra Beast. I just want you to tell me like friends do. Come on, you can call me Naruto if you want. Tell me what I wish to know and I'll consider it, the large fox responds. Nodding, Naruto tells the large fox everything Naruni told him thus far. Naruni said it was okay and mentioned how they became partners, and Naruto wanted that as well, so he left nothing out. The group Akatsuki, Tobi, who is an Uchiha working for Madara, taking the other Biju, the 10 Tails, the God Tree, and Infinite Tsukuyomi. Naruto finished by explaining what Naruni did to speak with his past self, and by the end, the largest mass of dark chakra was silent, very silent, silent enough that Naruto missed the creepy fear up his spine from earlier. Kurama didn't even purr angrily. He held his silence so long. In fact, Naruto starts to fidget and quickly asks, Nay, are you alright? I need time with this, Kurama conveys. Return in 2 days. When Naruto awoke he smiled to himself. His body resists movement but he gets up and stretches nonetheless. He can't say exactly how long he'd been sitting, but he can feel that it must have been for a few hours. Turning around, he's completely floored by the pink-haired girl sitting in the shade against a tree, reading. Sakura-chan. Naruto curiously calls. The girl's shoulders deflate but she looks at him. The resigned expression on her face makes him wonder if she's sad, but his excitement begs the question, what are you doing here? She had the hardest time looking at him. It would have reminded him of Hinata-chan if it weren't for the constant scowling. I came to train, with you, she begrudgingly explains. Eyes wide and light as air, he hops over to her with eager happiness. Really? You really want to train together? It's just training, okay? She throws back, allowing her anger to look directly at him without wavering. Nothing else. We're just teammates training, nothing more, nothing less, got it? Yeah, sure, Naruto eagerly responds, absolutely thrilled Sakura-chan actually wants to train with him. Maybe the day isn't a total bust, he thought as he was already making plans to ask Naruni for any training tips for Sakura-chan. What do you want to do first? I'm the team's medic, so I have a lot of reading to do, she states, and he seemed to deflate. But, Kakashi-sensei said if I'm ever in the field, I need to be able to protect myself just as much as I need to heal others, so, I should also work on getting stronger. Naruto quickly agrees, and they start with the physical training taught by the academy and the regiment Kakashi-sensei had taught them. They had planned to spar for the rest of the afternoon, but Sakura was so physically drained that she lost focus easily and would get tagged by the simplest attacks. Laying sprawled on the grass, limbs spread and panting heavily, Sakura-chan can't help but ask, "How are you not tired?" Naruto simply gave her a non-commutable mumble of, "I don't know," whilst shrugging his shoulders. He proceeded to make 4 clones to fight against while she rested. Eventually, she joined in, raising the odds to 5 against 1. Like a general, Sakura took demanding control of the clones. With her superior analytical intelligence, Naruto quickly learns her unexpected strategies continuously take him down. The Pinkik uses timing to easily make his clones open Naruto's blind spots for perfectly synchronized attacks, forcing him to really pay attention to his weak sides. From the memories he receives later, Sakura-chan is so enthusiastic about beating him to a pulp, she actually yells at any clone who utters a word of concern for their boss. By evening, Naruto called the training to a halt, much to her extreme gratitude. Though the clones did most of the work, after every round she only grew more and more tired. If Sakura-chan's exhausted body hadn't practically run home, he would have felt weird ending such rare quality time with Sakura-chan just so he can see Kurenai. It was an odd feeling, loving one girl who didn't love him and trying to get the attention of another who may like him. Standing by Hokage Tower, he was rubbing his temple to soothe the headache from dispelling his clones. Unfortunately, mastery of Rasengan still evades him. After an hour and a half, he assumes she's not coming, and after another hour, he's certain of it. Rather than letting his disappointment drag him down, he helps himself to several extra large bowls of his favorite dish in the world, then returns to the forest for a late-night training session. The following day was a great surprise. Instead of following Sasuke Tem after being dismissed, Sakura-chan came up to him and asked when he was going to train. Though she was strict and standoffish, he was happy she wanted to train with him. "How about now?" Naruto replies. "Now," she bellows. "We just finished team duties for the day and he immediately wants to train afterward," her inner self yells. He nods fervently. "Sure, why not? The more training we get in, the stronger we'll get." Praying to Kami for a small number, Sakura can't help but ask him, "How many hours a day do you train?" Naruto tilts his head to the side, squinting his eyes to think of a reply. Well, when I'm not eating, sleeping, or with our team, I'm usually training. So, on the weekdays it's more than 6, but no more than 10 hours. Weekends are pretty much all day." Choking on her gasp, she eventually asks, "How is that possible? You train all that time with nothing to show for it." "Hey, that's not true," he defends himself. "I'm working on a wicked cool move right now." "What move?" she asks, not at all believing him. "I can't say," he defends even if he feels she won't believe him. "It's a secret until I've mastered it." Pushing him to break and admit his lie, she says, "You might as well tell me since I'm going to be training with you." "Training with me?" he gasps. "Really? For how long?" She sighs. "I don't know. A while, I guess. But it's just training." "Sweet. Let's get crazy strong, Sakura-chan." Kami, kill me now," she weakly responds. Naruto. "The name I was honored with is Kurama," the Kyuubi begrudgingly tells the little blonde. "I know," Naruto smiles in his response. "Yes," Kurama snarls. "It would seem you do." The large jailed beast snarls and grumbles, clearly not enjoying their interaction. "So, how do we keep all that crap from happening?" Naruto bluntly asks. "I don't want to let that guy control us any more than I want him controlling you." "No one controls me. I am the greatest of the nine-tailed beasts, Kurama proudly informs the uncaring boy. However, that Uchiha with his wretched eyes is not to be underestimated. It is the only reason I will help you. So, remember boy, I hate you and all your kind. Alright, Naruto yells, ignoring the present jab for the future possibility of friendship. Naruni has never lied to him, so if he says they become awesome partners, then Naruto has faith that they will someday. Did you not hear what I said, filthy human? Kurama exclaims. I only wish to ensure my own survival. If your future counterpart is trapped within an inescapable seal, then my future self is also trapped, and that is unacceptable. I get it, Naruto proclaims jovially. I get why you don't like us, and I can't say I blame you. Always alone, thought of as a monster, or used like a tool. I mean, no one even bothered to learn your name. Naruni says your hate is your right, but I don't have to hate you and you're one of my teammates now. Maybe soon we can be real friends, so let's do our best. Companionship with a human. Kurama laughs. That will never happen. I have it on good authority that it will, Naruto confidently jests with a wicked grin. It won't. I won't let it. Now leave. Naruto snickers at his ability to get under this powerful creature's skin before straightening his hands up in peace. Alright, don't be mad, okay. I'll be good. How do you want to train? At the moment, Kurama growls irritably. This seal allows for you to draw from my chakra, however that trickle of strength will not be enough to defeat our enemies. You will have to become mentally more adept to handle my chakra. Naruni said that it'll always be hard until we both find peace. He said uniting against a common enemy is good, but we should try to understand each other so we can truly be strong, and I think that sounds better. Learn what true strength is, Kurama recalls his father saying, making the large beast falter. I will always hate your kind. That, Naruto pouts. Well, I don't hate you, and I'll definitely make sure all your brothers and sisters are okay. Naruto extends his fist, just like Naruni told him, so Kurama can feel his honesty. Kurama feels a drop in his malice for a proportionate rise in melancholy, silently contemplating his jailer's extended fist. After several moments, he lays his head on his front paws, clearing his throat before he mundanely replies, maybe. For the moment I'll freely give my chakra. The more you use, the better you'll be at handling it both mentally and physically. With your own growth, so too will my power steadily rise to my former glory, so you must continue to train, for I will not accept subjugation. Naruto simply smiles as he drops his fist and responds, maybe with more chakra I can make more clones and learn jutsu faster. That's pretty sweet. I'll start today. Before Naruto leaves, Kurama starts, one other thing, then pauses for a long time. You did something some time ago. Something that was far more, contrary to the few moments I've sensed your pain. Naruto looks at the giant fox confused. When his mind comes up with nothing, Naruto simply states, I don't get it. Within this seal, I can only grasp extreme sensations, sorrow, agony, and the rare moments of gaiety. Sensations of sorrow are the more common ones, but recently, what I've sensed may have been what the opposite of pain is. It was, possibly, this piece you speak of. It happened another time as well. Not as recent. Time is unnecessary to a timeless creature such as I, but, I'd say it happened many moons ago. Do you know what I'm talking about? No, he flat out answers him. Not a clue. You're trying my patience, boy, the large demon growls angrily. Have you not done anything new recently, during the day, or at night, which felt decidedly enjoyable? Something that felt enjoyable, he mutters, then the image of Kurenai sensei and Ino-chan pop in his mind. Oh, you mean, that's what I was doing a few nights ago, and again in the morning. You felt that? After an awkward clearing of his throat, the great and somewhat shy Biju answers, I sensed it, to which Naruto mumbles, perv. I sensed it with my previous wardens as well, but their filthy arrogance would not allow them to speak with me as I do you. You will tell me more. Really? Naruto asks, slightly skeptical about what a divine chakra beast would want to know about. What do you want to know? Everything, Kurama says, leaning forward and resting his large head on his front paws. Happy to talk to someone about his experiences, Naruto tells Kurama everything he learned and a lot of what Kurenai taught him. The Biju simply listens. Despite the topic, Naruto felt a sort of ease to the conversation and wondered if this was the piece Naruni was talking about. By the end, Kurama can't help but say, "As the container of the strongest tailed beasts, I order you to amass more mates." What? Naruto gasps. I don't even know how it happened to begin with. Learn, is all the beast says before falling to slumber. Sakura. It's ridiculous. He's ridiculous. Who trains so hard? It only takes Sakura 3 days to realize Naruto is a training fiend, and somehow, more capable than he lets on. His training regimen was as shocking as when she discovered his personal relationship to Hokage-sama. Suffering under the intensity of his training, she learned Naruto can already walk, run and fight on water just as well as on land. Even with her perfect chakra control, it took her all day to walk comfortably on water, and unlike the blonde ball of energy, she can't stay on water for longer than 20 minutes. Sakura also thought creating corporal clones of himself was impressive enough on its own. After all, she recalls how he failed the final exam in the academy, until he revealed the secret to how Kage Bunshin helps him train. Despite the fact that it would kill a normal shinobi, regardless of rank, clone learning came across as the biggest cheat she's ever heard of. It explained why she had to continuously adjust her strategy when she and his clones would attack Naruto, which only annoyed her more. He still wouldn't tell her why he was playing with a balloon just yet, but after watching the way it pops with a massive swirl of wind, she's fairly sure he's working on some form of chakra manipulation. That isn't normal, her stunned brain reasons. Ninjas don't learn chakra manipulation at all if they can help it, and when they do, it isn't for years and years in the future. How is that idiot doing that when we've only just graduated? Sakura learns fast that she can't even keep up with him. Not only does she take more breaks than he does, but his breaks are much shorter. It's little wonder why Sasuke-kun is usually tired by the end of their spars, not that Naruto Baka could actually match Sasuke-kun. But it's apparent that the blonde is able to simply outlast him. This is ridiculous. For that Baka to train like this, how does no one know? It's just so easy to ignore or hate him. Sakura wonders who would believe her if she even told anyone. No one, her mind answers. Kurenai. It would appear that Kurenai needs more than a week to forget about her monumental mistake. It would be an easier thing to do if Hinata-chan didn't ask every night to train with Genjutsu Naruto. Did I do something wrong? She asks on the 5th night. Is that why you don't want to train me with Genjutsu? For the 5th time this week, Kurenai was tempted to simply create a Genjutsu of Naruto, but as close and knowledgeable to the boy as she's become, she didn't truly understand him and didn't want to risk Hinata possibly recognizing a difference, lest the young Hyuga feels betrayed and all their progress comes undone. No, of course not, Kurenai softly starts. Why would you think that? Hinata looks Kurenai in the eyes with a great strength she wasn't capable of weeks ago. We haven't trained with Genjutsu Naruto-kun at all this week, and all you'll say is that we need to take a break. I just thought I must've. No, you didn't, Kurenai cuts her off. Despite the immoral lengths the raven-haired Jonin had to go through for her young ward to reach this level of confidence, she's thrilled about the progress the girl's making. However, now that she's finding her voice, perhaps the beautiful princess needs more of an explanation. Hinata-chan, how long have you been here? A little over a month and a half. And wouldn't you agree we've grown comfortable with each other? Yes, she blushes. I know the training we've been performing has certainly helped, but it's all been in a controlled environment, hasn't it? Kurenai gives the indigo-haired girl a moment to try and grasp what she's saying, so hopefully, Kurenai never has to ask Uzumaki-kun for help again, or even see him if she's being honest with herself. When you're comfortable, like you feel here with the Genjutsu version of Uzumaki-kun, it's far too ideal than what you can expect out in public. Which is why I think you need to attempt befriending the real Uzumaki-kun. Eep. Hinata yips. I see, Udent. she stutters, completely bumming the beautiful Jonin to see. Hinata-chan, I stopped because I believe in you. I know you can do this, Kurenai conveys with genuine heart. Start with whatever makes you comfortable, a simple hello, or ask him how he's doing, however you feel most at ease. I did a fairly good job representing him, so I don't think he'll embarrass you in any way. Why you, she takes a calming breath. Do you really think so? I know so, Kurenai smiles at her young ward and for the first time that day, she's happy. Happy for what her charming pupil is courageous enough to do as well as for the blonde genin Kurenai is all too happy to avoid. Hinata-chan has to return to the Hyuga compound in another hour or so, but she'll be back first thing next week. The beautiful Hyuga is the only true bright spot in her week, and while it gets sadder and sadder every time her cherished student leaves, Kurenai is uplifted to know she'll be back. With every passing week, Kurenai finds she wants Hinata-chan to come back with more fondness. Weighed down by her own reprehensible actions with a boy, the Jinchuriki, of all people, not just for her lapse in judgment but also for how fondly she recalls the memories, it was as if her naturally analytical mind was pushing to study the experience, evaluate every orgasm and even compare it to her past lovers. The fact that the boy even rates close to the top only makes her mind want to evaluate the boy's performance even more. Morbid curiosity and a strong sense of shame have been her constant companion this past week, and she makes sure she keeps as busy as humanly possible to avoid thinking about it. As if personal disgrace wasn't difficult enough to suffer through on a daily basis, Kurenai tries as hard as she can to tune out the constant speculation many villagers and shinobi seem to have about the fate of the Hokage's son. Marriages have always been well received in Konohagakure, and everyone is eagerly looking forward to the good news so they can prepare for a week-long festive celebration in their honor. Of course, Kurenai's well-known association is a former teammate of Asuma's has many of the younger or ignorant shinobi as well as villagers asking if she knows any romantic details between the princess and the Hokage's son. She's asked with sheer excitement whether she's walking through the village, shopping, or for lunch, and they can't help but chat with her about all the places they've seen the happy couple come and go, aggravating Kurenai to the point of constant and ever-present nausea. It wouldn't be so rampant if the princess wasn't returning to the capital so within the week. Her departure Saturday morning is why Kurenai decided to stay in and read in the quiet of her home rather than join the rest of the village in bidding the princess farewell. On the couch with a scroll in hand, she hadn't expected a knock at her door. She hadn't expected a red-faced and sweaty Hinata-chan behind her door, and she certainly hadn't expected Uzumaki-kun behind her. Hinata-chan, Kurenai oddly calls, observing her treasured student with the biggest mistake of her 24 years of life behind her. What are you doing here? SSS-sensei, a wide-eyed and nervous Hinata stutters. WWW was hoping, www we can have lunch, here. Kurenai can easily see the deep pleading in the girl's eyes, and despite never wanting to see the blonde again, she instantly wants to help her student, offhandedly voicing, why don't you come in? Ignoring the cheers in the distance for the princess and taking a second to look at a very eager Uzumaki-kun, she has little choice but to add, the both of you. Settling in the living room, Kurenai is at least happy to see Uzumaki-kun look around as if he's never been in her home. Nice home, sensei. It smells really nice. Masking her trepidation, Kurenai feints a polite smile, responding, thank you, Uzumaki-kun. Playing along, he asks in a surprised tone, you know who I am. It offers her some relief when she thinks, at least he's good at this. You're Kakashi-sensei's student, Kurenai returns. I know the members of every newly formed genin team. Naruto nods with a hum, and Kurenai turns to Hinata, asking, Hinata-chan, will you help me with the tea? Ah, Hinata yelps, recalling her manners. Of course. Make yourself at home, Uzumaki-kun, Kurenai states before sensei and the student walk into the kitchen. As Kurenai begins to fill the kettle, she turns to Hinata-chan, eyeing the girl to explain. Anyo, a very submissive-looking Hinata starts, and Kurenai didn't like the girl's slumped shoulder, the near-tearful look in her eyes, and her nervous twiddling fingers. It makes Kurenai relax a little as Hinata explains, I was at the farewell mass FF for Princess Tomoko, and so was NN Naruto-kun. Considering that Hinata knows nothing about what she'd done with the young Hyuga's lifelong crush, Kurenai asks as gently as possible, Hinata-chan, why would you ever think to bring him here without my permission? Looking wounded, Hinata stutters, I know, this was a bad idea sensei. Hinata bows twice before Kurenai can place a comforting hand on her shoulder. Still, Hinata adds, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I wasn't thinking. Hinata-chan, Kurenai starts, staring intently in the girl's eyes. Breath. You haven't killed anyone. I'm just curious. Please, explain yourself. As Kurenai sets the water to boil, Hinata calms herself before stating, I saw him, and I said hello, and he was exactly like in our training. I was so happy that I hadn't fainted, and I asked if he was hungry, like we'd done in the sessions. I was so nervous, sensei, but he said, yes. But there were so many people and I felt like my heart was going to explode, so I thought we could have lunch here, because I thought of what you said sensei, do it however I'm most comfortable. So I thought, here, please, sensei, please. Kurenai felt the double edge of her words cut her as she mumbles, Hinata-chan. No more than lunch, then we'll go, Hinata-chan pleads with her big lavender-white eyes. Unable to disappoint those beautiful pleading eyes, Kurenai sighs, fine. But only for lunch. I want you to feel comfortable here but next time ask before you invite someone over, understand? She states the question, giving no room for misinterpretation. Yes, oh yes. Thank you sensei, Hinata happily cheers. Can you tell him I have to use the washroom? She nervously asks, wiping off the nervous sweat from her forehead and Kurenai just nods. Walking into the sitting room, his eyes snap onto her entering form. His face starts turning bright red as he stares, wide-eyed, drinking her in and it's only then Kurenai becomes aware she's in her comfortable, yet form-revealing housewear, white summer shorts that showcase a lot of toned thighs and a red, spaghetti string halter top. Her lustrous dark hair was down and she can easily imagine what a sight she is in his hormonal clear blue eyes. He almost didn't notice he was automatically walking toward her until she put her hand up. Snapping out of it, Naruto at least has the decency to look abashed. Sorry, he says and his first question to her is obviously, will you come back, please? Uzumaki-kun, Kurenai cautiously warns. I hope for your sake you're not using Hinata-chan as a way to get closer to me. I don't use friends, he confidently proclaims. But she invited me, and I wanted to come and say I'm sorry if I didn't do it right, or if you're angry with me. So, can't you please come by tonight? I haven't told anyone, and I won't, so, you'll come by right. You're still thinking of this like it's training when that isn't how it should be, she tells him, keeping a tracking ear on Hinata in the bathroom upstairs. How can you not see this isn't good for either of us? For our futures. No, I cannot in good conscience encourage this any further. Then explain it to me, Naruto asks, desperate for clarity. Why was it okay that night but not the next morning? Hearing signs of Hinata finishing, Kurenai attempts to make a deal with him. If I explain why it happened and why it can't happen again, will you stop this? I don't know, Naruto curiously states. I'd have to hear it first. You don't have to hear it first. You can just agree, Kurenai states with mild frustration. But what if I hear it and I still don't stop? Naruto genuinely asks. I don't want to lie and say I will when I won't know for sure until I hear it. Expelling frustrated air from her tight chest, Kurenai simply agrees. Fine. Anything to end this, she thinks. But I'm not going to your apartment. Just come back here after you walk Hinata-chan home. He happily nods before Hinata-chan returns and they have a light lunch, though Naruto is just as hungry after they finish their small bowl of salad. Kurenai and Naruto kept most of the conversation going but Hinata-chan smiled often and spoke twice. It almost seemed worth it just to see the girl be so brave against her reinforced and chronic insecurities. For herself though, being around him, smelling him, catching him lusting over her, Kurenai couldn't help the warmth continuing to grow in her center. He even had the nerve to brush her close enough to take in her scent. Her traitorous body easily recalls how this boy manhandled her and physically responds with rising sensitivity, radiating heat, and pooling moistness. Aroused, her body yearned for attention, though luckily for her, it didn't have to be with him. Excusing himself to use the restroom before they leave, Kurenai wonders how much to tell the boy when he comes back. As the two genin exit her home and clear her white fence, she wonders if he would understand the yielding combination of being deeply hurt, being reckless and inebriated, how much she just wanted to forget her upsetting troubles, how much he helped her forget. Could he accept that as the reason she degraded herself enough to have so much with him? Even if he sprints, an aroused Kurenai doesn't expect him back for another 30 minutes, and rather than a shower to cool herself down, she walks upstairs to her room and pulls out her vibrator. On her bed with a pillow under her waist for elevation, she closes her eyes and opens her legs. Spread and comfortable as she was, Kurenai works her electric phallus in and out of her wet snatch with practiced ease. The loud buzzing in the air is ignored and her mind takes her back to her most recent encounter. She lets her naturally analytical mind replay each moment, each position, each orgasm, easily soaking her pleasure aid in her sleek juices as she feels the pleasure coil of her body grow more and more tense, threatening to snap in pure euphoria should she continue. Men, AHNN, she mules, coating the length of the vibrator as she herself to that starving release. Kurenai can feel it won't be the best climax, but it'll more than take the edge off before he returns. Stuffing herself repeatedly, she somehow recalls his smell more clearly, helping her transport sensations back to the time she was on her back in a thick, blonde bush was her like a wild animal. Feeling herself right on the edge, she stuffs the vibrator in deep when her walls clamp down, sending shocks of pleasure up her spine and brain. As she grips his hair, she vaguely wonders why she hasn't stopped him, but the way her quim dilates with expanding bliss only just manages to delay any need for an immediate answer. She'll figure it out later. She gasps, as her mind says the rest, finish. With finishing being her body's sole concern now, Kurenai plays with her left, pinching and pulling her pert pink nipple as her right hand circles and rubs her exactly as she likes it. His tongue is weird, her mind yells lovingly, and she focuses on his unique pleasure-inducing organ. With his constant rough tongue lapping at her quivering sensitive wall, and his mouth and drinking everything she expels, it doesn't take her long to reach the edge of another immense drop. I'm almost. I'm almost. Come in. Kurenai snaps her head back, her spine arching tight with blissful rapture, sending waves of pleasure throughout every humming cell in her hot and sweating body. Her thighs twitching as delightful as her pelvis gyrates uncontrollably against the boy's face. Her second orgasm is larger and more intense than the first, and she sees white for several moments as her body quivers and trembles deliciously, soaking in the velvety delight of oblivion. Barely coming down from exotic devastation, she realizes Uzumaki is still lapping in at her opening, desperate for more and keeping her in a constant state of euphoria. Still, with more clarity now, she pushes his head away with as much force as her twitching muscles can, which she hates to admit isn't much. Pushing Uzumaki's head away, she rolls from him and off the side of the bed onto very shaky legs. She actually has to brace herself on the dresser by the window. Nai-chan, she hears him call as she calms her breathing, quickly collecting her higher reasoning while looking to the blue sky out the window. When she hears him step closer, without looking at him, she points and calls out, "Wait." He stops but only for a second, then actually hears his pants shuffling down. "Just stop, Uzumaki," she calls one more time. "Please, sensei," he weakly implores, voice thick with hunger. "Please, I need you so much. He stops and she hears more rubbing. "No," she cuts him off, and yet again he takes another step forward. It's like he's incapable of thinking, so she calls louder, "Stop. Please." One more time, Naruto states, taking his painfully hard hand and jerking it for any stimulation. He quickly realizes it's not good enough. Only she can sat his hunger. His lust-filled eyes are pained as he expresses a great need. Just need to be inside one more time. Uzumaki, she calls, turning around to look at him. His eyes are still dilated, almost black with desire. His cheeks and neck are inflamed and he isn't even looking at her face as he pleads. He only has eyes for her feminine treasures. Clenching her fist, she's ready to punch him to his senses when she hears loud popping behind her outside. Turning to the window, she can see streamers, balloons, confetti floating up in the distance. The loud popping of fireworks from that location in the sky informs her of Main Street and happy Konoha villagers are bidding farewell to one of their country's beautiful princesses, no doubt hoping for an optimistic announcement in the near future. An announcement that in many ways eradicates promises at the heart of Kurenai, her body's womanly yearning, her dearest male friend and possible life partner, and her devotion to the future she felt on a daily basis. Until that moment, she expected the beautiful future would have eventually happened. Some way, somehow, her and Asuma would get there. Despite her ardor, she trusted in a benevolent future only to learn it was a child's fairy tale. The festive party in the distance for their country's beautiful princess and the Sarutobi heir is bluntly telling her she's wrong. Without her verbal tell-off, Uzumaki's face dives into the wet-hot pocket of her nether region between her round cheeks and taut thighs. His hands grip her hips and pull hard, mashing his mouth and tongue against her delicate folds, covering as much moist honey hole with his cheeks and mouth as possible. Manefef, Kurenai moans at his energetic push. Uzumaki, she tries, but her eyes won't let go of the view outside her window. Kurenai suddenly feels trapped by the vision before her, hurting her by denying her simple wants, and the pleasures between her legs born of indecent desire. Uzumaki, if you don't stop, she gasps as he laps her delicate nether lips. Why stop? The princess is finally leaving, but that isn't what matters. She knew the truth the moment he completely ignored her, the moment he walked around her. It's how Asuma is. The gruff man had told her without uttering a word, and that thick, heavy pain resting in her chest sentenced her emotional convictions to death. The wishes of her village outside had become all too real in her heart, and it broke her. The warmth of a rough tongue is removed from her sensitive quim for cool air, a curiosity that is quickly met with a stiff answer. Yuijin, ha, she moans when he stuffs his bulbous crown into her sodden snatch. Her knees shake with the sudden spread of her wet walls, lowering her even more despite her grip on her dresser. Her voice is silent as she ponders the escape being offered by the blonde, the simple way to deflect the core-crushing hurt from her broken love. Spying on the festivities through the window for the last time, she slowly closes the curtain, closing that little bit of pain along with it. If she couldn't be happy in her heart, then shouldn't she, at the very least, be allowed the joys of the body? Uzumaki-kun isn't ideal, but it's just one more time and no one has to know. For the moment, she'll forget about her staggering loss and lose herself in pleasure. The only real issue is Hinata-chan's crush on the boy. Even if Hinata were made to be a branch member, her family would never agree to such a union, much less marriage. In the long run, Uzumaki-kun and Hinata-chan can never be together, and that ought to matter the most, if only by a little. Kurenai can steer her beautiful ward in a direction with a higher chance of actual happiness, not unlike herself. Yes, she manages to think and feel as he spreads her deeper. Better I should guide Hinata-chan to find love elsewhere. Her mild cognitive ability is interrupted by a pang of bliss from a strong nearly striking her G-spot, sending a strong jolt up her spine. Pumping away eagerly for more of her rich honey, she strives to guide him. On, a little to the on, the left on, to the left, yes, yes, there, right there. She moans loudly, squeezing her moist hot walls that much harder as he enthusiastically hits home with every thrust. Meeting his heavy thrust, she notes it's not his technique that's making her so aroused, it's the staying power of his intense pounding. His determination is like a feral animal, with enough muscle and excessive stamina to plow her sensitive walls and discipline asunder. The loud constant wet smacking of sweaty flesh, the smell of his musk mixing in her nose with her own, his desperate grip on her hip muscles, his absolute youthful vigor is enough to push her further and further to that inevitable explosion of mind-numbing pleasure. She moans gutturally with his every thrust, over and over, feeling his insatiable need to break his peak inside her hot center. His raw vigor more than makes up for his lack of technique, and Kurenai is happy with that, for now. Nai-chan, Nai-chan, he whimpers, as his thrusts speed up. Kurenai can hardly believe how depraved her saliva-mixed moans are as he pounds into her with powerful strokes. MMMNNN. AAHHN. YYESSS. Cammy, Cammy. Deep. You're so MMN. She cries as the strong beautiful Kunoichi's mind starts to melt. She's right on the edge of shattering when without warning, he slams in as deep as he can go, and blasts his thick man milk into her boiling cunny. Not unlike before, it's a tremendous amount and possibly even hotter than she remembered, easily pushing her over the edge and detonating a third powerful orgasm. His sweltering body hugs her tightly as her jittery walls clamp down on his thick erupting member, and pull him in as deep as she can while he floods her vaginal canal with his baby batter. Her mind dumbs as her body shakes and tumbles with his. All her thoughts and awareness cease to exist, leaving only waves upon waves of boundless pleasure while he fills her with a copious amount of his seed. Eventually they slump haphazardly to the floor like two boneless sacks of hot water, one blissfully spent, the other, waiting a moment before his second wind kicks in. It wasn't a long wait. He has eyes after all. Pressed against him, soft and slick with body-cooling moisture, is one of the fittest and most beautiful women he'd ever seen, panting and trembling happily with his still snug inside her. The irregular jittering and shaking of her slush walls easily keep him from softening, and the thought that he had flooded her insides with his thick cum is more than enough motivation for Naruto to forget all about his body's exhaustion. Naruto wraps an arm around her waist, elevating her some, happy to gut her again. MMNN, she moans, as she's unexpectedly lifted, causing her already sensitive to grip him that much harder. Witless with dizzying pleasure, Kurenai can only muster enough coherence to tell the eager blonde, wait, Uzumaki. Call me Naruto, he interrupts, as he slides out of her with a loud slurp, causing her to groan at the sudden loss. She turns over with his assistance, holding the dresser for much-needed support. I'm still sensitive on, she's mush on her knees with her face against the dresser as he thrusts into her again, taking a moment to appreciate the hot snug muscle, before sliding back out, enjoying the friction of his head deliciously dragging the ribs of her sensitive, cum-covered. He thrusts in again with just as much want, with even more depth, reaching the furthest part of her soaping cunt. Kurenai moans through the absolutely blissful pounding of her hungry insides, until they come together, and to her surprise, feeling his knot expand and lock them together as he stretches her uterus with pudgy spunk. Eventually, they end up on her large comfortable bed. It's the first time he has a clear view of her entire figure, and he's easily transfixed. Kurenai, with her long, matted dark lock, full red lips and matching eyes, and her athletic hourglass curves, was a kunoichi of the highest caliber, and Naruto couldn't help but feel like an utter failure at his paltry attempts at jutsu. No one could possibly be wirier than her. It takes him several moments to get over his enthralled shock, and only after she called his name, before instantly becoming glutinous for her womanly perfection. The exciting view spurs on a whole new marathon of energy, and he's stuffing his steel inside the beautiful kunoichi with all he has. In the superheated bedroom, his eyes take in the sensual curve and sublime arch of her glistening spine, the way her drenched raven locks stick to her flush skin, as if she only just stepped out of a hot shower. Of course, the almost pained expressions of her flushed face, from the wide O of her flushed cherry lips to the near catatonic look when she has an eye-crossing, toe-curling orgasm. Her moans during her rise to great peaks, her panting pleas for a respite, and the way she pleads his name to go harder, faster, it all adds the indescribable bliss he feels being connected to her, inside and out. Everything about her turns him on, mindlessly. He's heard of drugs and their effects on people, but until this moment, Naruto never fully grasped what it really meant to be addicted to something. Whether slamming into her slick, buttery hot goodness, and fondling her large, or simply drinking everything that comes out of her, he absorbs it all habitually, as if her luscious body is a warm basket of perpetual sunshine and happiness. Naruto's only hope of coping with the incredible surge of aroused energy is by putting it all inside of her, using it all on her. He doesn't know how he reached that conclusion. Whether it's to honor her, to thank her, to conquer her, he couldn't say, but he knows giving her everything is the only way to feel peace. In the moist musk and heat of Kurenai's bedroom, they stay together in one form or another for hours, whether directly plugged into one another or his mouth and hands licking, kneading, or massaging her, all to her extreme disbelief. She knows this is a whole new experience for him, and boys tend to be much more energetic than adults, but Uzumaki doesn't seem to fit the mold. He isn't quick, energetic, certainly, but he stays active for as long as she does, and they often find themselves gushing together. He busted his sack no less than 9 times, knotting her 4 times, and though she would have preferred if he finished outside, most of his thick spunk finds its home in her fertile walls. No matter how many times she warns him to come on her rather than in her, he'll be too lost in his own pleasure to acquiesce to her pleas, hugging her tightly as he unleashes endless rivulets of semen. Unable to muster more than mild protest, toward the end, she simply makes a mental note to talk to him about it later. Fortunately, all active kunoichi are on the pill for one simple yet horrible reason. After hours of vigorous copulating between resting, they naturally fall asleep on her ravaged and cum-stained sheets. Despite the radiating heat, Naruto holds her tight, and with some embarrassing honesty, she admits to herself it's not terrible. Kurenai is the first of the pair to wake, aware that the delicious ache sparkling throughout her satisfied body is because of the blonde ball of energy laying on top of her. Snug between her strong legs, he holds her tightly with his head resting comfortably between the mounds of her. Aside from the wonderful, floating ache, Kurenai appraises the gently slumbering boy atop of her. Once again, it's difficult for the red-eyed Jonin to come to terms with what she's done, again. Not impossible, but difficult. She doesn't love the boy, that much is certain, but she can honestly say he more than meets her physical needs, though she can't help but wonder if it's simply him, his nodding uniqueness, or if her dry spell has just been that long. Absence makes the heart grow fonder, she thinks, before correcting herself. Or in this case, the lust. An unrelated thought of how nice he smells despite the reek of and sweat in the room, makes her mumble, "I'll need to air out the room soon." Even if Kurenai knows it's morally wrong, at least it wasn't illegal, and truthfully, no one needs to know. It was simply training him, as payment for helping her with Hinata-chan, which sounds absolutely horrible to her. As the adult, Kurenai understands she's the one most responsible here, for both the good and bad. She knows the young genin only needs to allude to abuse, and she'll easily go down for it. So, in the unlikely event this arrangement ever comes out, as long as he doesn't testify to being taken advantage of, then in the eyes of the Shinobi Council, it'll simply be 2 consenting adults engaging in legal private affairs. Though she's certain that's not how the civilian council will see it, she also knows they have no real sway over her career. Barring any extreme demands from him, if she can keep him content, then she shouldn't have much to worry about. His stomach growls loudly, surprising her out of her thoughts. She can't help but giggle at his pained expression as he snuggles even closer against her humming body, giving her a pleasant sensation from their warm skin-to-skin contact. Sticky and grimy though they are, it only seems to add a thrill to the pleasant glow she feels everywhere. The low lighting of the room informs Kurenai it's early evening, and after hearing Uzumaki's growling stomach, she's much more aware of her own hunger. Hoping she doesn't wake him, she attempts to extricate herself from him, but as she moves, he only holds on tighter, easily making her feel like some sort of security blanket. Recalling reports of his living conditions explains why he's so attention-starved and pulls pranks. Living alone for so long can make anyone crave physical contact like hugs, pats on the head or shoulders, or even the tussling of hair. Well, he has to wake up at some point, she mumbles to herself before running her fingers through his silky blonde scalp, calling, "Uzumaki-kun. Uzumaki-kun." Slowly, a smile spreads his cheeks and he mushes his chubby cheeks into her soft valley, tickling a giggle out of her as he exhales on her stiffening nipple. "Cammy, giggling this much, I must be swimming in oxytocin and endorphins." Looking at his pleased face makes her aware of her own smile. Content to favor him, she runs her fingers through the silky spikes of his golden blonde hair, that is until her stomach interrupts her with a very audible grumble. Uzumaki-kun, she calls louder, grabbing the sides of his head and lifting him up. It's time to get up. Han, he sounds through a slack jaw, one eye closed the other half open. Nai-chan, that name, she mentally chides. A slow deep inhale is calming, but for that pen name, she needs 2 deep breaths before she continues. Uzumaki-kun, I need you to let go. Instinct makes him tighten a bit before softening his grip as she adds, I need a shower. We both do. I also have to prepare dinner. Oh, he calls happily at the mention of food. He moves a bit away from her, enough to see her form under him, and Kurenai can actually see his eyes glaze over, as if falling under some slave genjutsu simply by the sight of her. Though it's thrilling to witness her warm fuzzy center, she quickly moves away from him before he loses any more mental control. Nabbing a pillow to cover herself, Kurenai easily advises him, calm down. Take a breath. I think we've had enough of that for one day. Looking at his semi-hard, she points to the bathroom, commanding him, actually, go take a shower now. A cold one. Red in the face with embarrassment, he starts moving when he's struck with a thought. He voices, since this is your house, shouldn't you use the bathroom first? It's the other way around. As your host, I offer you first turn, she tells him, to which he nods in acceptance. Please take a shower and get dressed. She didn't want to tell him it was going to take her some time to get his insane amount of cum out of her. Now that she's standing, she can already feel it oozing out of her and drag down the inside of her toned thighs. Even if she ran to Hinata-chan's bathroom down the hall, she was certain she wouldn't get there fast enough to avoid leaving a trail of white globs on the wood floor. He put so much in me, she mentally marvels, feeling it leak out with a jovial thrill. It's fortunate that her own juices thinned the concentration of his semen, but it's still a large quantity. He seems to enjoy sowing as deep within her as he can. Since a vagina is the second most natural place for semen to be, she isn't worried about getting it all out, as her body will do that on its own, but with this much, she'll have to take most of it out herself. Once showered, dried and dressed in unflattering flannel pants and red camisole top, she makes her way to the kitchen. Setting her hair up and in a towel to dry, she finds Uzumaki sitting on a stool spinning on its swiveling cushion. With her entrance, his smile broadens drastically, his clear blue eyes drinking her in with the thirst of a man dying of dehydration. The length of her fine neck, the exposed cleavage of her larger than average bust, and the flannel that cannot hide her perfect posterior. His clear desire for her after everything they've done throughout the afternoon is the only reason for her blush. To think he's eager for more is, to her mounting disbelief, flattering. Kurenai simply isn't used to such raw, lavish attention from someone she's been active with. There are plenty of shinobi or villagers that undress her with their want-filled eyes, but unlike the baby blue eyes gazing hungrily at her now, they haven't seen her, they haven't her to a mindless stupor, so there's always a buffer between her and them. Uzumaki-kun has seen, tasted and all of her. When he gazes at her hungrily, it's more profound. Immoral or not, to Kurenai, his eyes will forever be different. Aware of the cuddle hormone still coursing her system, Kurenai isn't so alarmed when she feels a giddy heat in her stomach, a little hop in her step, her straighter posture, driving out her enticing C-cups that much more forward, even her scalp tingles affectionately, making her lush dark locks feel more vibrant. Post-coital bliss, she mentally identifies the affectionate playfulness as she walks over to the pantry. Overlooking her blushing feelings, she can't help but comment, I thought you'd be halfway to your beloved ramen stand by now. Half looking away and blushing madly, he shyly questions more than says, I thought. I was hoping, maybe, we could eat together. Is he trying to be cute, or are the elevated hormones just making me more amiable to his mannerism? She mentally asks to bring out some red potatoes. Kurenai isn't sure he should stay, but she's certain nothing more will happen. Add to that they need to talk about this unexpected development, and she says, I suppose that's fine. Sweet. He exclaims. Nay, Nai-chan. Please don't call me that, she quickly cuts him off. Kurenai-sensei, sensei, or even Yuhi-san is fine. But you keep calling me Uzumaki instead of Naruto, he counters. I prefer to keep our association professional at all times, she responds. Ever since her father, she's always felt more comfortable keeping that distance with everyone. Which is why neither of us needs to address each other so personally. But we're alone, he points out before asking, why keep it professional now? We have to be careful with how we act around one another, more specifically in public, she explains as she opens her fridge. Absolutely certain he's unaware of how hungrily he's eyeing her, she squats down to gather the ingredients for her salad rather than bend over and give him an enticing view. If you call me cutesy personal names in private, there's a higher chance you might accidentally give that information away in public. I know we don't have much cause to interact in public, but you can never be too careful. It's not unlike your field prep class at the academy for away missions. I think I might have missed that one, Naruto nervously says. That's not possible, Kurenai returns. That course is a requirement for graduation. You can't become a genius without passing all required courses. Well, I missed a bunch of stuff because, I'd always get sent home, he returns with a bit of a chuckle. It wasn't until Iruka-sensei got there that I actually got to stay and learn as much as I could. Kurenai looks at him oddly, somewhat curious as to how he managed to become genin if he missed many school days. Leaving it to ponder another day, she continues in an educational tone. Part of field preparation for a mission involves leaving behind any unessential personal items, so no rings, pictures, or anything of sentimental value. The reason being, if you're captured by an enemy, they won't be able to use the things or people you hold dear to break you. That makes sense, Naruto nods, before thinking a step further and wondering aloud, I don't get what that has to do with us. Us, she thinks. Really? With a sigh, she answers, while the village is not our enemy, you and I now share something personal that neither of us want anyone to learn of. If anyone found out, they could try to use it for their own advantage, or could simply tell Hokage-sama to get us in trouble. So, no more, Nai-chan, Uzumaki-kun. Kurenai-sensei, sensei, or Yuhi-san are acceptable. Ku-sensei. He tries. Letting out a breath of disbelief, she whirls around to the sunny blonde, telling him with authority, no. Not that either. Nay. He asks, eyebrows raised. No, she says a little louder. Kurenai nay. He counters. I'm starting to lose my patience, Kurenai warns him. He gulps and chuckles nervously as he responds, Kurenai-sensei, what are you making for dinner? Dark greens and spinach salad with a side of asparagus, sliced almonds, and red potatoes, with a vinaigrette, she answers before pausing. His queasy, disenchanted face makes her roll her eyes. Nay, he starts. Is there any possibility of eating meat with it, or just eating meat? I only eat meat when I have no other option, she informs him rather offbeat. Do you mind if I go get some and come right back? Salads are they don't fill me up at all. He bellows. I've been super hungry since lunch. Evaluating how needy he is for a more hearty meal, she huffs and moves to the freezer. I have some steaks I can make. She hears him whoop as she fondly looks over the large packaged steaks, sorely recalling the gruff jonin she had bought them for. They're thick cuts. Some of Akamichi's best, she warns him. Will you be able to eat that much? He gives her the most confident chuckle before answering, not a problem. Nodding, she fixates on preparing dinner all while he fixates on her. It's silent between them as the sizzling of the steak crisps and crackles and the room is filled with its tasty scent, but it's not uncomfortable. Nearly done, Kurenai catches Naruto rubbing his temple instead of gazing at her, as if trying to ease the pain of a headache. Dinner's nearly ready, Kurenai says, unable to grasp how such a domestic scene is taking place in her home with Uzumaki Naruto, of all people. Set the table, she adds, trying to temper her fear-inducing wonder. He does as instructed, but as she's setting their meal down, he still looks to be in a bit of pain. Preferring to wait until they've eaten and are comfortable before having the big talk, on how they move forward, Kurenai breaks the silence. As he's already mentioned a number of bizarre remarks, it's easy to engage in light conversation. The most pressing query she needs him to clarify for her, however, is, how did you manage to escort Hinata-chan home and return so quickly? You were in my room less than 7 minutes after I let you out, and I know for a fact she lives nearly an hour away. Please tell me you did not blow her off so you could come back here. I didn't, I wouldn't, he quickly reacts. I made a clone when I went to the bathroom and my clone walked her home. It dispelled right afterward, so I know she made it back okay. Your clone? Kurenai quirks her brow confused, thinking of a number of rebuttals. Kage Bunshin, he easily adds, eagerly cutting up his seasoned steak. Curiosity drives her to ask, how? Kage Bunshin is Jonin level jutsu, and I recall you failed the finals Bunshin no jutsu 3 times. After swallowing a good chunk of delicious meat, he can't help but say, this is so good. I was told that I have large chakra reserves and 10 tekken, large chakra holes. Tenketsu, she corrects. The nodes on your body by which chakra is released. Yeah, that, he happily agrees. So, it makes it harder for me to use jutsu that only needs a little bit of chakra, like Bunshin no jutsu. It's why I've been working super hard on my chakra control all this time. I had no idea Kakashi-sensei was so dutiful with his team, Kurenai surprisingly muses, having heard from Asuma of the silver-haired Jonin's burdens. Maybe it really was a good idea. They all went behind Kakashi's back to have the Hokage order the strong shinobi to become a sensei. It's not that shinobi don't understand his loss and grief, but it was becoming clear to his friends that Kakashi wasn't moving on from the deaths of Obito and Rin, years after the fact. When I heard he'd been privately instructing Uchiha-kun, I was worried Kakashi-sensei was being unfair, but I'm glad. What? Naruto starts but immediately chokes on a nice chunk of beef. After beating on his chest a few times, the chunk of half-chewed meat is dislodged from throat to plate. Though repulsed, Kurenai can't help but wonder about the strong reaction as a teary-eyed Naruto yells, he's been teaching Sasuke Tem on the side. How come? For how long? What about me and Sakura-chan? His wide eyes of disbelief and angered brows easily tells Kurenai he had no idea his sensei was providing extra training to one of them and tries to clarify. Didn't you just say, wasn't Kakashi-sensei the one who told about your chakra reserves and your tenketsu? No. Naruto bellows. I had to find that out on my own. What the hell? I ask him all the time to train me outside of team stuff, and he never does. It's always like, if I have time, but he never has time. I never knew he was training Sasuke Tem. This. Rather surprised by the unexpected outburst, Kurenai searches for the best words to ease the irate genin. Knowing Kakashi's bloody history, Kurenai understands the senior Jonin is likely experiencing some form of shame-birthed debt toward the last Uchiha. Deep regret over his fallen teammate, Obito, which Kakashi likely feels he can only atone for through personally training and guiding Uchiha-kun. While there may be an understandable reason, Kurenai can't help but feel for Naruto. In the boy's eyes, it just looks like favoritism toward his class's rookie of the year. Well, Naruto, she starts, deliberately using his name to calm him a bit. It seems to me like you're going in the right direction. Mastering chakra control is absolutely key to becoming a great shinobi. There isn't a great warrior alive who has terrible chakra control. She adds an easy smile, but it barely phases the upset blonde, so she continues, also, I bet Uchiha-kun can't use Kage Bunshin. It's a difficult technique to learn, not to mention very dangerous. Naruto abruptly questions, coaxing him a little out of agitation. Dangerous how? Kurenai pauses again, wondering if this blonde oddity is actually using a technique without knowledge of its harmful disadvantages. The physical ramifications of dispelling your clones. At his blank stare she continues to further explain, after the amount of information or experiences is transferred back to the original, it affects you physically in harmful or potentially lethal ways. It can easily be too much for the mind to handle. Many shinobi have gone insane, destroyed their chakra circulation system, or become brain dead from overuse. Some have even died. Its Waikage Bunshin is a forbidden jutsu and any shinobi that can use it are warned to never keep it active for longer than 10 to 15 minutes. Huh, I didn't know that, he comments noncommittally. How could you not know the side effects of such a dangerous jutsu? Didn't Kakashi-sensei warn you how overuse could kill you? Now that I think about it, I don't remember him ever telling me about that, Naruto ponderously replies. But then again, I keep my clones out for way longer than 15 minutes, so I never bothered to ask him. Setting aside Kakashi's potentially fatal negligence, she focuses on his declaration of way longer than 15 minutes. How much longer? She asks, growing more and more vexed by this conversation. It's either an extreme lack of guidance and responsibility on Kakashi's part, or this blue-eyed blonde is a baffling fool. It varies really, he starts, garishly chewing on his steak with a happy hum. But generally for several hours, like 5 or 6, I guess, he easily answers. That's not possible, Kurenai staggers to say, eyes wide with healthy skepticism. You've been brain dead for a long time, if not dead after half an hour. I don't know about all that, but I always have clones training, Naruto tells her. Even before I sent out 20 clones to train and only dispelled them a couple minutes ago. Kurenai had long since put her utensils down, in awe at the tremendous discovery she stumbled upon, but now she has to get up and pace, only stopping to make absolutely certain. You're sure? Sure about what? Frustrated, she answers, that you can keep your clones activated for more than 5 hours. Oh, yup, he answers. She paces again, but remembering her hunger she picks up her plate of salad for the ride and eats as she paces. Do you still have a headache? Nope, he answers after swallowing his cut of steak. Gone already. Amazing, she gasps, ignoring his happy chuckles. His body must be highly abnormal to be able to deal with such drastic side effects. The only theory she can think of that might provide an answer is the power of the Kyuubi, but she doesn't know nearly enough about that to make any educated conclusions. This means that any experience or knowledge of your clone. Kami, she gasped in awe. With enough clones you could learn techniques that normally require years of training in a matter of weeks. Yup, Naruto calmly answers, focusing more on his steak than Kurenai's amazement. Recalling their chase from his apartment, she asks for confirmation's sake, have you learned tree walking? Yeah, he answers between chewing. Water walking? She quickly asks. I fight against my clones on water all the time, he responds with a smile. It's better than hitting the ground, but man, am I tired afterward. Amazing, she answers, letting out a huff of air. So, what are you working on now? It's the first time Kurenai has ever felt excited talking to Naruto. She just couldn't deny the ambitious sensei within was enthusiastic to hear his response. A look of hesitant nervousness blooms across his face. Sorry, nice chr, Kurenai-chan, she rolls her eyes at his slip as he continues to say, it's sort of a secret right now, but, I can tell you it's really awesome. I don't think you realize how amazing this is, Uzumaki. Naruto. He interrupts. Everyone calls me Naruto. Naruto, she easily concedes, interested only in advancing the conversation. With proper guidance, you could be one of the strongest shinobi in the nation. As a sensei and strong inheritor of the will of fire, it's not hard, by any stretch of the word, to marvel at his potential and envision his future. That's the plan, he exclaims with glee. Watch, I'm going to be the greatest Hokage ever. Holy shit. Her mind explodes. It's been so easy to ignore his thoughtless boasting as delusional wish fulfillment, but at the moment, there's a real possibility he may, in fact, be able to achieve his dream, with training, of course. How can that idiot Kakashi ignore this? To ignore or not see something this massive, Kurenai has to wonder if the silver-haired elite even cares about their village at all. She's big enough to admit she never cared for the boy, but it's not like he's been shy or hiding his desire to learn. It only took her a few questions to see his potential. And Kakashi had so much more time and opportunity to ask. Kurenai is already making plans to talk with the copy ninja when her earlier intent to make sure Uzumaki-kun stays content pops to the forefront of her mind. The blonde would obviously feel more grateful, possibly even indebted to her if she helped train him where his own sensei has failed. Though there is a well-practiced, yet unwritten rule that states, unless the primary sensei asks for the assistance, then another sensei approaching the student is widely considered unacceptable. It wouldn't be a good situation for Kurenai if her training with Naruto ever came to light, but it's not any worse than what they've already done in the dark. As long as everything remains secret, there shouldn't be any issues. As she paces the room, automatically eating her salad, she's struck with the ultimate deciding factor. If Uzumaki-kun does ever make it to Hokage level, that may be the ultimate service she can provide the village. Her will of fire has always been about guiding the future shinobi of the village, it's why she's trying so hard for Hinata-chan. Helping Uzumaki-kun is such an obvious extension of that drive, it only makes sense to guide him, unwritten rules be damned. Turning to the boy as he finishes the last ounce of the once large steak with a satisfied smile on his face and sauce on the corners of his mouth, she's momentarily stunned. She hasn't even finished her salad yet. Someone was hungry, she comments, before moving on. Uzu Naruto-kun, would you like it if I helped you? You're already helping me, he inquisitively tilts his head, then his cheeks redden as he quietly adds, and I probably like it more than ramen, probably. A light blush coats her cheeks at the memory of their activities but she moves forward. I meant with your training. You said you'd like to keep your current training a secret for the moment. But if I promise you I wouldn't reveal it to anyone, would you like me to help you? He's stunned speechless, almost laughably so. His eyes widen, his jaw slacks just enough for his mouth to open and his shoulders slump as he drops his fork. Come now, she says with a small smile. It's not so shocking that a sensei would like to help a genin become stronger. He tries to laugh, but it's a pitiful sound as he shuts his eyelids, squeezing out a small bit of moisture as he says with a croaky voice, yeah, you're right. He tries to hide how he wipes his eyes with the cloth napkin that wipes his mouth, but she easily spots it, making her wonder just how alone the blonde bundle of energy has been. Let me think about it and I'll get back to you. She nods and grabs her dish and glass to take to the sink as she asks him over her shoulder, if you're done, can you bring me your plate and cup? She hears him hum as he grabs his dirty tableware. Walking up behind her, Naruto can't help but admire the gorgeous ebony-haired beauty who's taking such an interest in him. To Naruto, who has so few precious people who care about him, it was furthermore unbelievable simply because it was a woman. Ji-chan, Tsukiji, Ruruka-sensei were all males he could completely be himself around. With the exception of Ayame-ne-chan, Kurenai was the only female who didn't seem to mind being with him. He was beginning to believe that he's actually gained another precious person, someone beautiful, strong, clean, who talks smarter than almost everyone he knows. Further focusing his gaze to the lithe gesture of her spine as it travels down to her round rump that no thin pajamas could ever hide, Naruto's gaze locks on the perfect roundness of her rear cheeks, making his pants feel much tighter as he quickly stiffens. He sets his plate and cutlery on the counter as she starts washing, and then hugs her from behind, quickly taking in the alluring scent of her long moist hair, and softness of her body. As the top of his head only reaches her nose, his arms easily belt around the underside of her, lifting them so they rest lusciously on his forearms. Uzumaki-kun, she gasps, bracing herself on the counter as she easily feels his rigid hardness grind just under her bubble bottom. I won't let you down, Kurenai-chan, he confidently pronounces. Taking a moment to absorb the weight of his confident claim, she simply responds, let's both do our best. When she feels his grinding become more impassioned, his hands cup her and gentle lips on the skin of her back, she has to pull away, but he holds on. The moisture rising between her legs forces her to half-turn in his embrace. She puts a hand on his shoulder, telling him, wait. He doesn't let go but he stops grinding his thick erection against her, looking straight up at her, pupils dilated and unmistakable hungry for her. We got a little sidetracked, she tells him, not pushing him away but ensuring he doesn't progress anymore. But, we still have to talk about how things between us are going to go moving forward. You're still going to train me, right? Naruto nervously asks, obviously dreading a horrible response. Does he always wear his emotions on his sleeve? She thinks as she feels him tighten his grip a little. Oh well, there are worse things, she mentally sighs with reason before responding, short answer, yes. Oh, Cammy, I can't believe I'm saying this, and struggles to add, I'm willing to continue what we're doing. His face lights up with the biggest smile she's ever seen from him, and just as he's about to cheer, hug her, or possibly, her to death, she loudly adds, however, I want to be clear here. If we move ahead with this arrangement, there will be no confusion about where the lines are drawn. We have to have boundaries or it's just shameful depravity. The only way I'm willing to continue is if we establish rules, so, take a seat and we'll discuss them after I finish cleaning. He looks like he doesn't want to let go but eventually does, crosses the index and middle fingers of each hand and speaks, Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. 3 exact clones of himself pop into existence from a cloud of white smoke. Naruto takes her hand and heads into the sitting room as he tells his copies, clean up in here and dispel after. Thanks. You got it, boss, she hears one call out as she allows Uzumaki-kun to lead her away, but only until she realizes his destination is upstairs, after which she halts his pull. Stopping before reaching a single step, she pulls him back and brings him to the couch in the sitting room instead. Due to the open curtains, it's less private than her room, which means he'll have to behave. He looks disappointed, but since he might be a fiend for her, she isn't worried. The rules, she starts. At its essence, you asked me to teach you how to be a good or better lover, so that's what this will continue to be, a course of study with practical experience. That means I'm your sensei, and you are my student. I'll lay out how each session will go and what you'll be learning. So, the first rule is always do as your sensei tells you. If I tell you to stop, you stop. Will that be a problem for you? I don't think so, he comments as he tries to think ahead. Will you still feel good, and will you tell me if I'm making you feel good? I really like. Kurenai notes how easy it is for him to get aroused as he swallows and continues saying, how you look and feel when you see cum. A blush grows hot on her own cheeks and the not-so-gentle reminders of all her orgasms this afternoon begins to dampen the panties between her tense legs. He catches her legs tightening together before she crosses them. Even though she's in her pajamas, he's seen her nubile body and she can easily see her clothes hide nothing from his eager eyes. Palming his hot cheek to raise his eyes to look directly into hers, she answers his question. I don't think you have to worry about whether I'll feel good or not. I don't, foresee a problem there. And yes, I will be more informative about the whys and hows of what you do and how it might make a girl feel. Oh, sweet, he says with a grin. What else? Second rule, and this is very important, she states, and he nods in rapt attention. You will stop climaxing inside of me. Unless I specifically say otherwise, we will be using condoms from here on. He bemoans as he tries to counter. But, it feels really good this way. I don't care, she easily tells him. I may be on the pill, but there's always a 1% chance I could get pregnant, and with the sheer quantity of your ejaculation, I'd rather not take that risk. As for the feeling, I'm sure it'll feel just as good. This is a deal breaker for me, so without a condom, nothing happens, got it? He huffs, somewhat defeated, and simply nods. Third rule. This very intimate and physical thing we're doing, is not, I repeat, not about love, she declares. At least not romantic love. We can respect one another, protect one another, maybe in the future become good friends, but we will never be a romantic couple. Even though we have or kiss, or do many other intimate things, that does not mean we'll go on dates, get married, or anything like that. I'm teaching you the art of pleasure so you can use these skills either for the good of the village, such as on missions, or for the special girl you one day decide to marry. Does all of that make sense to you? I don't want to break your heart because you were hoping we might become romantic one day. He looks dejected throughout her explanation, but also thoughtful, as if he's truly trying to puzzle out what she needs him to understand. After several moments of deep thought, he asks her, "Will you be okay?" "What do you mean?" she asks, genuinely confused, hoping he's not enough to suggest she'd fall in love with him. "I have a girl I really like, who would make me the happiest guy in the world if she liked me back, but she doesn't. If we weren't teammates I think she might actually hate me, so, I'm definitely happy that I have this with you. But, what about your love? I don't want you to miss out on the love of your life any more than I'd want to miss out on mine, if she was actually interested I mean." "I don't know," she thinks as her stomach becomes a little weak. How could he know, she questions as her chest constricts and her throat goes dry. The cheers of the world outside were so easy to ignore until this moment, and she wants to cry again, though not simply because of her recently fractured and sore heart, but because in addition to that, this boy isn't so possessive as to deny her love for someone else solely to stay with him. Kurenai can't be absolutely sure he means it, but all her psychological training is telling her that he doesn't seem like the type to hide or be deceptive. Hell, even when he can't tell her something, he doesn't lie to cover it up. He simply tells her he can't say. Compartmentalizing is easy for Kurenai's mind and she keeps it together as she tells the blue-eyed blonde, "That's sweet of you to say." "I mean it, Kurenai-chan," he tells her firmly, balling his fists. "You're a precious person to me now, so I want you to be happy too." He stands on his feet to boldly announce, "I know I asked for this, but if you ever find someone you can love, then you absolutely have to be with him." Kurenai almost snorted and held back a sad pitiful laugh. How can this boy, with all the seriousness he can muster, tell me that with a straight face? She mentally ponders. Because he doesn't know, her mind then easily answers. And it's not like he actually positioned himself between Asuma and I. A princess accepted that position happily. Kurenai realizes her constant heartache for Asuma shouldn't be placed on Naruto's doorstep. Heartbreaking hopes with Asuma, too much alcohol and bad decisions led me here. Even now, this boy has little to do with my heart, but at the very least, he's opened my eyes to even more I can do in service to my village. She can almost feel great honor in turning the dead last of the latest graduates into one of the strongest shinobis the village has ever produced, and while this isn't how she would have ever decided to accomplish that, Kurenai knows her father would say, it is what it is, but more importantly, what we make of it. It'll take Kurenai time for her heart to mend, but at least with Hinata-chan, teammate and now Naruto-kun, she won't have much time to obsess over her gnawing pain. "Naruto, thank you," she says with a mild but very real smile. "I believe you, and if I ever feel I might find happiness with someone, I'll let you know." He was being sweet and her smile was genuine until she realized he hadn't sat back down because of the cleavage she was showing. His eyes look dark and she can practically see his brain function slipping away from his clear desire for her. "Naruto, calm down," she tells him with little success. "As your sensei, you promised to do as I say, so calm down," she commands. Naruto's eyes lighten and clear of its lustful fog, but he looks wounded, and he's still erect. Sorry. I really want to be inside you again. It's hard just looking at you." Thank you," she blushes at how blunt with his desires he is. "I know it feels good, but we had a lot this afternoon, and a great majority of women tend to be sore, or tender down there after such long and repeated sessions. They need time to heal." That seemed to do the trick as he took a step back worried, asking, "I didn't hurt you, did I?" "I'm so sorry, Nai-chan. I didn't know." No, you didn't hurt me, but I am quite sore," she eases him while omitting the pleasant humming of it. "It's not a bad soreness, but we shouldn't do any more today." "Oh," he sighs, adjusting his pants. "I understand," he sadly says. For the briefest moment, she thought of comforting him with her mouth, but quickly shoved that thought aside. It isn't necessary for his education at the moment, and more than that, he needs to learn self-control. Still, something is better than nothing, and she gives him a little hope by telling him, "However, I'll feel better tomorrow and I can teach you more then." "Really?" he yells, catching her off guard. Really? Yes," she answers him with a smile, but stipulates, we'll meet at your place an hour before midnight. Less chance of being seen that way. He hugs her for a long time, eventually taking in the scent of her hair and rubbing her back. Clearly you have a lot of energy to burn, she notes, interrupting his rising arousal by standing and moving towards the front door. So I'll make you a bet. You go train, and if you make any significant progress in your secret training, I'll give you a treat I'm sure you'll really like. His eyes bulge like saucers and he's out the door in seconds, much to her amusement. Naruto mastered Rasengan that night. And that's the end of part 4. How did you like this part? Tell me in the comments, which girl is your favorite in Naruto's harem so far? If you want part 5, then please like this video and comment, next part. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. I'll see you in the next part. Take care, bye.